Matteo here of Matteo's Mobile Bicycle Repair. The amount of cyclist deaths in our area for the past year has reached around 20. It's completely unnecessary. There are enough cyclists with ample enough experience that can share with those with less to not have such high numbers. Of course, infrastructure is very important, but we have, it's a given that when you get a license for a car, we have in our culture that you go and you get your license, you learn how to drive a car. But unfortunately, we don't have this for a bicycle, even though with a bicycle you're at a higher risk of dying, not having airbags, all this metal and plastic around to protect you. And so I want to, give this content as part of hopefully changing that way of thinking about getting into cycling or being a cyclist. So the content I'm about to share, I'm absolutely sure can save cyclists' lives. I'm sure 80% of you probably get something new from the content. Below the video, I'm going to list 3 great action item, takeaway items for you to look at doing for yourself. And I'm going to give a few tips as well. Before I do, why I think I have enough experience to be sharing such tips. I ride 50 to 100 kilometers a day, 5 days a week, all fair season long, about half that in the winter season for the past 5 years for my pedal-powered bicycle repair business. I've also ridden across North America twice and in Central America, and I've also taken the Canadian CAN bike instructor's course for safe cycling. So from all that experience, I give the following tips. So to begin with, spacing, I think actually being one of the most important things that can save your life. I think most cyclists, to be polite to drivers and other people sharing the road with them, often hug the right-hand side of the lane. Law and the CAN bike curriculum, and myself as well, always recommend being at least a meter from the road and from parked cars. And generally the idea I like to communicate is if you act big, then you'll be treated big. If you act small, then you get squeezed. And so keep in mind that legally a bicycle is allowed to take the middle of the lane whenever there is anything on the side of the road that you think would make it dangerous for you. This includes like high traffic speeds, high traffic volume. For whatever reason you feel unsafe, you're allowed to be in the middle of the lane. If you don't want to get as much slack from people behind you, you can go just to the right of middle and you'll normally get less confrontational behavior and honking at you. So yeah, act big and get treated big, I think, is one of the most important things. And always being a full meter from parked cars in case of doors, and a full meter from the curb for any of the plethora of stuff that gets on the side of the road, sewer grates, etc. Beyond that, I would like to go over a couple things on the helmet. So one of those takeaway items is my how to do a safety check on a bike, and I go over the 2v1 rule on a helmet. So if you don't know how to properly fit your helmet with the 2v1 rule, check out that video. Other than that, one of the key tips that I don't see people following often is sewing your buckles up. So once you've properly fit the helmet, the buckles often move in and of themselves and get loose, which is not only tedious to readjust all the time, but it's also dangerous, as the helmet is designed to deflect an impact off the skull that often happens in movement. So if the helmet is loose because the buckle moved, then the helmet would move, and then the helmet's not going to protect your skull like it should. So using the 2v1 rule, getting these straps in place, and then sewing the buckle beneath the chin and the 2 underneath each earlobe with dental floss or doubled up thread or something tough is a great safety item action that you can do. Aside from that, I always like to recommend rear view mirrors. It's best practice to do a full blind spot check and look over your shoulder. It also notifies drivers that you're thinking of turning or changing lanes when they see you turn your head. But I am very much reassured having a constant peripheral view of what's going on behind me with my helmet mirror. It's a little chilly out. It is possible to get a helmet mirror on the handlebars, but it's often farther from your line of sight and a greater distance from your eyes, and being connected to your handlebars, it is then more difficult to change your angle of view than it is to wiggle your head to change your angle of view having a helmet mirror on your head. This is the greatest helmet mirror design I've ever found and tested. It is the Safe Zone helmet mirror by Efficient Velo Tools. It has completely flexible various set of nodes here, so you can really change the angle. It has the largest mirror that I've ever found on a helmet mirror. I'm the only Canadian distributor of them. They're 35 bucks, come with a 5-year guarantee. They're really great. Aside from that, on a bicycle, I would love to share if you've not heard on Toronto streets especially, it's a Toronto invented item, the Samui Air Sound. It is a 120 decibel bicycle pump refillable air horn. This is the box that it looks like right here. Mech used to sell them, but since they're in a funk, they are not. Hopefully more bike shops will start selling them soon. But so far, I think I'm the only Canadian distributor right now until Mech or someone else jumps back into it. To show it on the handlebars, it's just a white little button, a little hard to see, a little far away, but white little button on the handlebars compresses air into a water bottle size canister so it fits in the standard water bottle holder on a frame. I have a video on my YouTube channel that shows the volume of that. I just realized that I forgot to pump mine up, but it has a volume setting that is basically 120 decibels. Aside from that, the last safety item that I would like to show you is the light that is a little hard to see as it's daytime right now, but it's a 90 lumen light. It works with induction. It's made by Relight, R-E-E Light. It's a great light to have just for constant running lights. Of course, they're very important to have at nighttime, and many lights getting stolen, if you forget to charge them, if you forget to put new batteries in them, aren't as reliable as something that this mounts a dynamo onto your frame with a 2mm Allen key. It would just, it's kind of like a mini hose clamp where this wraps around the fork stanchion and the rear part of your seat stay on your frame. So this picks up the little magnet you mount on your spokes, so as long as your wheels are moving, then you have 90 lumen light there. It stays on for a minute after, the rear light stays on for a minute after you stop, so then you also have that a little bit. It's not the brightest of lights, but I love that it's a constant safety feature that you never really have to worry about, and it's kind of difficult to steal. That is it for my top safety tips. Hope you enjoyed that video. Please take a look at the takeaways below, and hopefully we can make a culture of looking into do workshops and courses. And as you'll see, the last safety item is that I offer safe riding, cycling workshops and rides. So if you think that from what I've shared, it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, you might be able to learn something from me, feel free to come out on a ride and we can go over and watch your cycling skills and make sure that you're safe out there. Thank you. Cheers.